at 573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome into Tuesday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey, Brendan Schaefer. We've got our final good, bad, and ugly of the NFL season here soon. And it's the Super Bowl edition, so we'll put a bow on the Super Bowl with our good, bad, and ugly. We'll talk about it's officially off season now, so Chiefs off season. Biggest questions, Brendan. Lots to get to there as we can finally talk about next year, I suppose. Of course, Chiefs were doing that earlier.
Yeah, we've been ready for a while for that team, but now there's nothing left to do but to do it. So let's get into it and fix them. Why don't we, huh?
Well, we'll try our best to fix them. We'll have the injury expert Will Carroll talking some baseball with us. Spring training really upon us now as everyone's reporting to camp and things like that. And we'll talk about the injuries that could be impacting training this week and following weeks with the injury expert Will Carroll at 4:25. Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling joins us at 5:45. And here in a bit, we'll talk about some news that broke about an hour and a half ago. Seems that Mizzou's football stadium is looking for a naming rights sponsor now, Brendan.
Interesting.
Slap a name on Memorial Stadium and see who wants to buy that up. So we'll talk about that here in a few minutes too. 573-875-KTGR. If you want to call or text us here. We're live on YouTube right now, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Yeah, Mizzou Athletics announced at 2:30 this afternoon that they now are officially seeking a naming rights sponsor for their football stadium. It, of course, is the 100th anniversary of Memorial Stadium, and they're celebrating that by having a new north end zone project that is expected to be done by the start of this football season. So we'll see how that progress goes. But in response to that and everything that's happening, Mizzou also going to look for a corporate sponsorship for the naming rights of Memorial Stadium, which if they find one, the release says that they will drop the word Memorial from the stadium name. So it'll be sponsor stadium, most likely the new name for Memorial Stadium going forward. We'll see how that process goes. Deputy AD Eric Morrison leading the search. That's the Big Show's big deal on this 10th day of February 2026. Give us a call or a text here at 573-875-KTGR. I think that's probably something to be clear about. Like, I don't think Faroe Field is going anywhere. It'll be Faroe Field at so-and-so stadium instead of Faroe Field at Memorial Stadium going forward. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, you drop the Memorial. People may feel a certain way about that. I think to keep up in the current climate, this has to happen. You're looking for revenue anywhere you can find it. They've said, we understand that the memorial behind Memorial Stadium had meaning behind those who lost their lives in World War I. I am sure they're going to make an effort to recognize that, and now maybe a different way moving forward once they find some corporate sponsorship for the naming rights. But I can't imagine not thinking this is a good idea, because I think it's something they got to do. You're looking for revenue anywhere you can find it. It's an arms race right now in college athletics, and I think it just makes perfect sense if you've got a corporate sponsor that is willing to pony up for the naming rights, that you exercise that option and pursue it.
Yeah, the release says in response to dropping Memorial from the stadium name, says at the same time, university is actively planning new meaningful opportunities to honor and preserve the historic origins and intent behind the Memorial designation. Those details will develop in consultation with veterans groups, campus leadership, athletics stakeholders, the new naming rights partner, and members of the Mizzou community to ensure an enduring and respectful tribute. So we'll see how they decide to keep doing it. It is important. You don't want to brush it off, obviously, because, again, it is very meaningful. It was named that for a reason. But you're right. Things have changed. Like there are so many more opportunities for you to get that type of sponsorship now that honestly wasn't available to these schools in the past, but now it is available to them, like slapping logos on the fields. And I saw that they're also going to approve jersey patches like that for that too. So it's everywhere. It is a little like professionalization of these sports, but that is the direction where it's going, you know?
Yeah, that's we're lying to ourselves if that's not what it is. And I roll my eyes every time I hear student athlete because it's just not what it is anymore. I'm sure a number of them do attend classes across various universities.
Yeah.
But that's not what they're here to do. They're here to win football games. And as a fan of one of these high major programs, I'm not, going to sit and pretend that it's anything else than that. Now, coaches, I think there's absolutely a lane for coaches to continue in the way that you recruit, in the way that you sell your program to incoming players. The academic aspect of that is part of the conversation, I'm sure, in some fashion. But ultimately, the business of this sport, of this enterprise of college athletics, is all about the cash, and naming rights for your stadium is a great way to get some more of it. And so I think it's a good idea, and hopefully they find something that's a suitable deal. People will probably have opinions about the name of the sponsor. I, more than anything, just care about how much they're paying to slap it on there, because I think the more that you get, the better off you're going to be on the field. Like, we're in that era where it absolutely translates to on-field success. And I think that's different than when you talk about a jersey patch on an MLB uniform. That's not really quite the same, because in reality, all those owners have
the money to
a
pay
lot
those
of money.
Yeah.
It's a question of if they're going to spend it or not spend it. When you talk about college athletics, they don't necessarily.
This is everybody's disposable income. Like,
yes.
It's not their livelihood. I mean, they could say that it is important enough to it being their livelihood, and certainly so. And again, not saying that your money doesn't go to something that you feel to be very worthy. But it is marketing for the businesses, and then the fans wanting to donate whatever dollars they want to the NIL fund. It is out of whatever they have available, whatever they feel willing to spend. It's a little different from an owner making that their business or one of their businesses. So yeah, it's a little different that way, but again, we'll see how this process plays out for Mizzou, who they find to be the naming rights sponsor. 875-KTGR if you want to chime in. Let's go out to the KTGR hotline now. Hello, who's this?
This is Matt.
Matt, you're on the big show. What you got?
Well, I think I've got the betting favorites for the naming rights. I think I've also got a good idea for one as well, but I think the betting odds are going to be either Veterans United Stadium or Equipment Share Stadium.
Those are two, I'd say, pretty good candidates. Like that, right here in the community, obviously, big names, and we'll see how it goes. Appreciate the call, Matt, here on the big show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Yeah, there's several options that are up with Mizzou right now that you could talk about. I wonder if they feel like they want to go to those businesses again and say, all right, how much more do you want for this?
Yeah, not for a discount, but if an existing sponsor wants to get in the game on that, then I'm sure the opportunity will be there. I'm sure that's where you probably start. Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, whether it's existing or new sponsor that we don't know is going to be in the mix. So we'll see on that front. I've seen a few folks go, what are the wrong answers to what the name of this should be? Page Stadium is one. Well, yeah. That one.
That's wrong. Really I wouldn't pick that one.
No.
We've been there, done that. Huh?
Yeah. It didn't go well. But yes, you can chime in if you want to be snarky about it. You can give us wrong answers only.
Yeah, please do.
We'd love that.
That's my preferred state of being is snarky. So go for it.
We live for that here on the big show, KTGR and the KTGR app. What should the new stadium name be? Wrong answers only. 573-875-KTGR. Call or text us with what you think. In the meantime, we will move on to the business at hand in the NFL. The good, bad, and ugly from the Super Bowl. Wrapping up the season of good, bad, and ugly here on the big show, KTGR and the KTGR app. You can call or text us with your good, bad, and ugly. What happened in Super Bowl 60? from any of it. The game, everything around it, what was said afterwards, things like that. I mean, it was more the Seahawks defense good than maybe Drake May bad. I'm not saying Drake May wasn't bad. He was bad. But it was, I want to say, more Seahawks good than Drake May bad.
Yep, but I think it was both. I think he could have made adjustments that he didn't make. He doesn't make the shoulder an excuse, he says, because he could have made the throws, just wasn't himself. But, yeah, he was not ready for the moment. I'm going to say that was – and it played out in an ugly fashion. When you're, second, you're the runner-up for MVP, lose that by a vote. You announce yourself on the national stage this year, and you're in the Super Bowl. We've talked a lot about on the show the fact that you don't know if and when you're going to get back to a Super Bowl once you're there, so you want to take advantage of it while you're in it. And he didn't, and it did. It played out in an ugly fashion, but it was because the Seattle front four was so good and because Mike McDonald dialed up the blitzes when it was appropriate to do so and just decimated Drake May. It was because of Seattle's greatness that it looked so ugly for the Patriots and Drake May, but it did. It looked ugly.
The whole combination, but just how lopsided it was there. Very ugly from the Drake May side. And really just I do think the offensive line deserves some blame for that, of course, for the Patriots.
Yeah. Will Campbell.
Campbell, yeah.
Wasn't ready.
I mean, ditching the post game, obviously, not great. They reveals afterwards that he had a ligament torn in his knee. But that's not an excuse either, right? Said that too.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
everybody's got something they're probably dealing with at this time of the year. And, you would think that maybe that they had some extra help for him to chip or something. I don't know if they knew about that injury, but, that's just the way it goes sometimes, man.
Hard to
your team sometimes finds a way.
Hard to do when they're still only rushing 4. Like, you could chip. It's fair. It probably was necessary. But then again, like, you're only facing 4 guys. You have an extra one. You should be able to, handle it. But, either way, it led to the Patriots' downfall, and that was the ugly part of Super Bowl 60. I will say another part of the good, he didn't get MVP. It was kind of looking like he might if that trend had kept going. Cooper Kupp looked good, man.
I really thought Cooper Kupp might get MVP for a little while there. Yeah, he had some big catches, led Seahawks receivers in yardage. Mac Hollins actually passed him up for the game lead with the long catches he had. But Cooper Kupp was important, and I love seeing some video. I think he was mic'd up, and JSN was coming up to him. I don't know how many minutes were left, but basically, like, kind of congratulated him already. Like, I'm so happy for you, man. The Rams kind of just kicked him to the curb, and for Cooper Kupp to resurface with Seattle and win a Super Bowl there, JSN was giving him some love, and he said, "Not till there's triple zeros, not till I see 3 zeros." Like, he didn't want to count his chickens before they hatched, and then they kind of had an embrace on the field and said, "Hey, it's all zeros now. Let's go celebrate." And then Cooper Kupp tweeted today and said, "I'm a little suspicious."
I mean,
because
I would be.
He was being careful to not count his chickens before they hatch. But yeah, Cooper Kupp is one of my all-time favorite players. It's a shame that I couldn't really root for him from a team standpoint because he's been on the Rams for so many years. But I love seeing him have success with the Seahawks. I think he embodies just a lot of things you'd probably want in a football player and in a teammate as well. Just seems like just a really, really good guy, and I think he was probably some glue for that Seattle team.
Oh, yeah.
And certainly it didn't hurt JSN to learn from a guy like him. JSN more impactful, but I think JSN is a better player because he's spent the year as a teammate of Cooper Kupp.
Because Kupp is another guy that defenses had to worry about, and Kupp was targeted more in this game. Like, it ended up being that way.
He came up with some big plays, and he wasn't Cooper Kupp during the full season, right? The way that we know him. He's 32 years old. I mean, you don't see wide receivers continue without some level of a drop-off, but it seems like he was efficient when he was making plays this year for the Seahawks and specifically in the playoffs. They were the plays that counted in a major way.
Mike Vrabel, bad. Mike Vrabel,
bad. Go for 2, first of all. Go for 2.
Seriously.
And Josh McDaniels, bad. I'm going to say, like, I get it. It's a matchup of coaches. We talked about the intrigue surrounding the coaching matchup. this matchup of Josh McDaniels v. Mike McDonald when it comes to play calling was handily won by Seattle's head coach, who still handles the defense. Wonder if he'll keep doing that, by the way. It certainly worked pretty well for him this year.
Yeah.
I just didn't think McDaniels made the adjustments. And, like, it's always, are you chicken or the egg? Are you going to blame the play caller, or are you going to blame Drake May for not executing? Because we saw what we saw and it was as ugly as it was, I'm inclined to pass the blame around. But I think McDaniels could have put May in better positions. Once he saw that this kid was just kind of deer in the headlights a little bit, get him some schemed up plays that can get you moving. And, boy, did they just look lost for the majority of the game prior to the fourth quarter.
Because you have ways to make those adjustments when you have a longer halftime, and we've seen turnarounds like this before in big playoff games in the Super Bowl before. So those adjustments were not made for Josh McDaniels there. Daniel texting in, good. Drew Lock, after the year he's had with his dad passing. Yeah, absolutely. It's been a wild ride for him. I can't remember, did Drew Lock become a dad within this last year, or was that the year before? Also,
I do not know the answer to that.
I think it was within the last couple of years. I know his wife did have a kid recently. I can't remember if it was within this last year, maybe the year before that. But the guy's been through a lot. And, this was really happy to see him have that moment yesterday or over the weekend. Bad from Daniel. Didn't like that Darnold didn't talk to May after the game when Drake was waiting, unless it happened off camera. I didn't notice this.
Didn't notice it. I'm not going to go crazy about something like that because there's such chaos on the field that I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many places for you to be, and you're being pulled in so many different directions, and that's after almost any game. But after the Super Bowl, I would imagine that it was nothing intentional by Sam Darnold, I'm sure, to not have that little powwow that you oftentimes see when it gets crowded down there on the field. I don't think he did anything on purpose. I haven't seen the video, so I'm speaking without, a lot of knowledge of what you're talking about there. But if I had to guess, that was not anything intentional. It's just there's a lot going on, chaotic scene.
He probably was immediately pulled over along with Kenneth Walker to film the "we're going to Disneyland" thing, like right away, like because they need
there's a lot of things
they need to get that promo produced like ASAP because that's playing like the next commercial break.
They really do it, turn it around quickly.
Yeah. So, I mean, sure, like maybe it did happen afterwards. I'm sure again they were cordial with each other, and that Drake May probably wasn't hurt by it by any means. He's probably saying, "Hey, I would have liked to at least just won the game." That's what he's most concerned about in that sense. What other goods, bads, or uglies did you have? You can call or text us at 875-KTGR.
A little bit ugly that you didn't get more of an impact from JSN because he spent a good chunk of the second half in the locker room. I don't think he is probably too bothered by it, but I'd be kind of anxious. Like if I put myself in his shoes, which is impossible to do, but you're offensive player of the year, you've had your breakout season, and you've been a big reason your team is in the Super Bowl, and then you're having to get concussion check. You're trying to probably check any monitor nearby to see what's going on out on the field. He ended up getting back in the game, and so I guess the outcome, Andy, is good. But anytime it's a Super Bowl and you've got these marquee players, you hate to see somebody have an injury within the game that forces them to be in the locker room for part of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm glad he got back out there, though.
Yeah, for sure. I just thought of a good that I can't believe I missed yesterday.
Okay.
Michael Dixon had an MVP bid for a bit going too.
Oh, please.
He did.
He was good, but
he did.
There was that one that was like pinned at the 2. There's a couple of really good punts for sure.
He had 2 inside the 5 in that game. It's giving me 2018 Texas Bowl memories. How he was doing that.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I mean, that was also very good. Should be acknowledged. Special teams matters.
Yeah, it matters. You can't win the MVP as a special teamer, but that's okay.
Unless you're a kick returner. Kick returners can do it.
Yeah, that could have happened. Good for Kenneth Walker, by the way. I mean, we might as well say it. He is the MVP, first running back to do so since Terrell Davis, like 30 years ago.
Almost.
I mean, he had a really good game. I thought both teams would struggle to run the ball. Ramondre Stevenson didn't get a lot going on the ground. That ended up being the case. I thought the Patriots would bottle up Ken Walker a little bit better, and that's why I was betting all of his receiving yardages, because I thought he would have to make an impact that way. That outside zone, I mean, he's just faster than the other guys, and he just goes in a straight line and found the hole and had a number of runs that flipped the field, that changed the scope of the game, and I think deserving as the MVP for him. But it's just an interesting story because, again, when Zach Charbonnet was around, it was more like a 55-45 split toward Charbonnet. And they can now claim, well, no, we kept Ken Walker healthy the whole time and kept him fresh, and that was the key. It played out that way. I don't know if it was on purpose that was the case, or if they did not really trust him until you had to. And amazing, too. They didn't fumble the football. They didn't give the football away in the playoffs. Like, that's a credit to Ken Walker, being a guy who I would never have predicted if I were coming up with a list of running backs that could have a playoff like that, where you just protect the rock and get the job done, very business-like. Wouldn't have had him for that. But he, like I said earlier this week, he made himself a lot of money over this stretch.
Yeah, Seahawks will lock that down, make him worth it. And
I think they almost certainly will.
What does that do to Zach Charbonnet?
Nothing. I mean, he probably won't be ready for the start of the season, but he'll be ready shortly thereafter with the ACL. And you probably go back to the similar split that you had, but maybe it's a little more Ken Walker than Charbonnet. If it was 55-45 towards Zach, now it's probably at least 60-40 toward Ken Walker.
I don't know. Maybe the Chiefs should call the Seahawks about Zach Charbonnet. What can you give us for Zach Charbonnet?
He's not the type of player that I really want for the Chiefs.
Really?
I think he's like in the same vein of Kareem Hunt, where like not particularly explosive, can catch the ball a little bit, does the right things, solid blocker, trusted by the coaches. I think you need a little bit more flash with the running back position for Kansas City next year. I want to see a Breece Hall, or I want to see a run at Ken Walker if something does fall through with Seattle, or I want to see them draft somebody with some upside. I think a lot of people, and like, yes, this is fantasy brain, but a lot of people would complain about Charbonnet getting so much playing time during the season because Ken Walker is clearly the more explosive player. But Charbonnet just had the trust of the coaches, and now we see that maybe Ken Walker should too, because in the big key moments, I mean, he really came through.
875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text with how you think the Super Bowl went, the good, bad, ugly frames. 573-875-5847. You can keep texting in your thoughts about the Super Bowl. We'll get some Chiefs off-season questions answered definitively at 5:05. Hope the Chiefs are listening so that they can take our advice. But up next, the injury expert Will Carroll joins us. So we talk a little Super Bowl about Will Campbell, and also spring training starting this week with pitchers and catchers reporting. Will Carroll, the injury expert, joins us next here on The Big Show, KTGR.
Breaking down the Tigers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and more like no one else. The Big Show continues next on KTGR.
So, Mr. Fancy Dancy Sports Car Dude, you say you were distracted by a raccoon feasting in the road? Okay. How about the fact that you were going way too fast when there's like 5 inches of snow on the ground? Nice ditch you got there, bro. Now you need a savior, a do-over. Find your phone and just Google I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for slide-offs. When your winter world seems to have been wrecked, call the team they hope you never have to meet. I70towing.com. A raccoon. Just ridiculous.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sticklin-McDonald.
And I'm Charlie Sticklin with the Sticklin & Sticklin Law Firm.
And I'm Mizzou Softball's Natalie Touche.
At Sticklin & Sticklin, all we do is personal injury.
We've earned millions for our clients since 1991.
On the diamond, I trust my team. Off the diamond, I trust Sticklin & Sticklin. Don't let the insurance companies strike you out.
Let Sticklin & Sticklin go to bat for you.
Sticklin & Sticklin, it's a home run.
This is Brian Mays with Family Pawn Stores. We've been working with Zimmer Communications for decades. Since we started our branding campaign, we've seen our business grow by leaps and bounds. I signed on for radio and ended up with website service, digital advertising, plus all the production. Having a partner like Zimmer Communications has been paramount in building our business. I can rely on their staff for every facet of marketing, and that's just been a real relief.
Zimmer Communications. You know business. We grow business. ZimmerCommunications.com. Would you care for some nightmare fuel? It's 5 a.m., and while you're still shaking off the cobwebs from the previous night's snooze, something else is lurking in another web. Time for a shower. Reach down to start the water, and it's a spider. 8 eyes watching you, and now 8 legs coming right for you. You know what you need? 5 stars. Not like throwing stars, although to be fair, you'd use just about anything to kill that dastardly shower spider. All you need is a 5-star service plan from Steve's Pest Control. Steve scares the life out of pests. Oh, who are we kidding? Steve and his team don't scare them, they kill them. All of them. And because your fear of spiders, wasps, termites, and other insects is very real, Steve's is here to let you know that he and his team are real too. They're not some corporate conglomerate. They're legendary, local, and 100% real.
Hi, I'm Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problem. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
As we get into the heart of basketball season, 1851 Underground Tap and Grill wants to remind you, whether you need a place to grab a bite after a local high school or college game, or you want to plop down with some friends and watch some of that college conference action on TV, they've got a spot for you. Your favorite cold beer or cocktail and delicious appetizer or dinner options on the menu. Check them out on Facebook or at 1851underground.com. It's no secret that it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
We're back here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Andy and Brendan here. This is the week that pitchers and catchers report to spring training in Florida and Arizona. Excited for the baseball season to be closer and closer. This is kind of a celebratory week for it almost. And here to talk all things baseball injuries, the injury expert Will Carroll. It's a great time to go and subscribe to his newsletter, undertheknife.substack.com, to get insider info on baseball injuries all season long. And some thoughts on, the Super Bowl too. Will, we talked into the week about how both quarterbacks might look. And obviously one of them looked better than the other did. Of course, one of them wasn't as under duress as the other one was too. But just your thoughts overall on the Super Bowl and how it went for both sides and the injuries that were impacting it.
Yeah, I think for Darnold, obviously he comes away with a Super Bowl ring, and he's at Disneyland today. The video of him on the teacups is absolutely brilliant. But, I don't think it affected him at all. I think the Seahawks medical staff got him through that oblique issue. He adjusted, and that's kind of, experience. So you would expect that from a guy who's gone through the things he has. You don't want that career path, obviously, for your young quarterback, but it's worked out for him. On the other side, Drake May and to some extent Will Campbell. I hate these ex post facto injuries where you try to explain why somebody didn't play well because of it. Would you have done the same thing if they'd won? Would you have just said, oh, look what he came through, he had this, but we won anyway? You don't normally hear that. You usually do it as a way to soften the blow, to keep the fan base from turning on such a good young player, which would be crazy in either the long or the short term. But the fact that he had a mild sprain of his shoulder, we kind of knew that. That he got shot up, we kind of knew that. For Campbell, that MCL sprain, yep, we knew that. I mean, he missed a couple games at the end of the year. So I don't think any of them really appeared to affect it. I don't think any of them were unknown. But I don't love the way the Patriots kind of threw them out there.
Interesting stuff there from the Super Bowl, which was a dominant win for Seattle. But now we move on to baseball talk, Will, as pitchers and catchers reporting to their various destinations at spring training this week. I want to start with the Cardinals and ask you about Lars Nootbaar with the kind of strange offseason procedure he had with the Haglund's deformities on both heels. What do we know about the chances he would be ready and recovered by the time this season begins? Because if not, the Cardinals are going to have to figure out left field.
Yeah, and they do have a number of players that can play there. Obviously, they're hoping that Nootbaar is going to be one of those guys who really kind of steps up this year, that this new look team for what it is will give some guys a chance to really step up, show they belong there, show that they're going to be on the next really good Cardinals team, because this one isn't going to be it, unfortunately. The surgery itself, we don't know exactly how it was done. There's a number of ways. Basically, you're shaving down the heel to make sure that the plantar fascia and where the Achilles tendon inserts there, to make sure that it's not irritating those two structures that are so important. So how they did it matters a little bit, but it's mostly going to come down to how does he feel? Is he able to run? Is he able to have a stable base up there? And we'll see that fairly early in spring training. We got to remember, we're still 6 weeks out from opening day, a little bit more. But, that's why we do spring training for as long as we do now, that and the ticket sales. But we should get a look on exactly where he is when he does get out there. I don't think we'll see him in, those early games, but just running and doing baseball things is going to give us a good idea.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. That's a place to watch. And maybe even also, even though he should be ready for opening day, obviously, Mason Wynn, coming off of a year where he played through the torn meniscus, still won the Gold Glove at shortstop, got that procedure done to clean it up over the offseason. And now as you look to see what he could accomplish this year, Will, how do you see him attacking it now that presumably he's got that cleaned up now?
Yeah, he's all cleaned up. He's sprinting. He's doing everything he's supposed to. The thing we have to remember is that just because we haven't seen him for a couple of months doesn't change the timelines. There's two ways to fix, and I'll be very precise with my terminology here. There's two ways to fix it when you have a meniscus tear. You can sew it back together, which is technically called a repair. The other is to trim a bit off or just yank the whole thing out, as they used to often do. But if you trim just a little bit off, that's a meniscectomy, partial meniscectomy. And that takes a couple weeks. We've seen NFL players have it and come back and play after a bye. You see that fairly regularly. So this is a 4 to 6 week back to 100% injury. He's long past that. So I can't call it a normal offseason for him, but I think he'll be well past it by the time we get to opening day.
Flipping over to the other side of the state of Missouri, I want to ask you about Royals starter Cole Reagans, who didn't have, his 2025 was not the picture of health. What's his current status, and what can Royals fans look forward to about him maybe making his way back in 2026?
Yeah, this is the thing. For young pitchers like Cole Reagans, this is the norm anymore, not the exception. It takes someone unusual. You have to go back to somebody like a Zach Greinke, who threw a lot of innings young and didn't break down along the way. So, at the end there, he had that rotator cuff strain. He missed, what was it, about 3 months with it. He had the groin injury earlier in the season, but he did come back. Remember, he did have that one short outing at the end of the year. He's had a relatively normal offseason. Talking to people, they're pretty excited about what he can be and where this Royals team is going to go. It's not a good division. So I think the Royals could be one of those teams that, just by being a little bit better and a little bit healthier, that they could make a big leap, or appear to at least.
That's certainly the hope with the Royals this year. And hoping that they get a little bit better injury luck when it came to that, because Reagans wasn't the only guy that got a rotator cuff strain in their rotation. Chris Bubic is also coming back from that too. I just wonder the situation with him, obviously a little bit older, and last year the contract too. So what it means for Bubic to try and come back with this year's team and see how he looks.
Well, here's the funny thing. Bubic and Reagans are, I think, the same age. really close. Bubic is 28, and I think Reagan is about the same. I could be slightly off there. But it's a situation where it was certainly, for Bubic, a tough year, a guy they really counted on. And with any sort of shoulder injury, you're really worried about those. And rotator cuffs are one of the longer ones. He did start a throwing program pretty early in the offseason. So again, not normal, but normal-ish. They're expecting him to be back. He should be throwing at the start of spring training here, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him on a mound here in the first couple of weeks.
Maybe some of the biggest news so far when it comes to injuries around the league is the news out of Mets camp today that Francisco Lindor is being examined for a stress reaction in his hand. Could need surgery. If so, that's going to mean 6 weeks. What's going on with Lindor? That's not a great start for Mets camp.
It's not, and Mets fans are taking this, calmly and evenly. Of course, no, they're not. They're freaking out. It's not that bad. There's a couple of things here. First, people are wondering, why is this just now getting found? Well, first, it's a stress reaction, which is kind of like, it's not even a stress fracture. It's the start of a stress fracture. It's where you can see on these advanced images that the bone is reacting to something. It's not perfectly healthy, but it's also not broken. It's kind of like seeing a table leg start to splinter, but it's still fine. You can still eat dinner on it, but you should probably get it fixed down the line or figure out why it's stressing. For Lindor, the timing seems odd, but the actual issue was insurance for the World Baseball Classic. He was hoping to play. He was denied insurance because of this. If he went and played and damaged that further, if it had snapped, if we hadn't had that imaging and it just snapped in a classic game or in a batting practice or at Mets camp, we probably wouldn't know. The cure is going to be the same. But the question is, do you want to go ahead and pull that bone out or put a pin in it? Either way, 4 to 6 weeks. He'd be back roughly opening day-ish, maybe a couple weeks in. So are they going to go ahead and yank that hamate bone out when it might heal up? It'll be interesting to see. Hamate bones don't normally heal that well, but it's odd timing because of the World Baseball Classic. And we're going to see a couple more of these stories come out in the next couple days.
Will Carroll, the injury expert here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Let's move over to the Olympics again, Will. Kind of a tough ending, obviously, to what was Lindsey Vogn's heroic story to try and compete on the torn ACL in downhill skiing at the Olympics, but then crashes into that first real run and has to be lifted off the mountain once again. Just your thoughts on that and how she, again, left it all out there trying to compete, and certainly impressive enough to even get to that point, but just tough to see it end that way.
Yeah, there's a couple of things here. First, we don't know the ACL had anything to do with this. She hit a gate, she twisted, she broke her tibia. She didn't break her tibia because, her ACL was torn. Did it complicate things? Yes. Putting it back together complicates things because the fracture spiraled up towards that plateau where you would put the ligament tendon back in place to replace that ruptured ACL. So, I just think this is one of those bad luck. It could have happened if her ACL was normal. Nobody else did that. And remember, the winner, Breezy Johnson, doesn't have an ACL. She's been skiing without one for a couple of years now. So it can be done. And she didn't fall and break her leg. I know lots of people that have gone skiing and fallen and broken their legs. They're just normally not, Olympic caliber skiers. And it was bad luck.
Will, what's new at Under the Knife these days?
so much new. We're going to have the first regular Under the Knife where I talk about the injuries like Lindor. Got a whole bunch of pitching injuries that we've got to deal with. We've got to deal with roster rules and what's going to happen with the World Baseball Classic. And, I'm launching a podcast. I'll have a lot more information on that later this week.
Hey, go and check that out for sure. Good to see that. And, of course, for all things inside the injuries for Major League Baseball, undertheknife.substack.com is the place to go and check it out. Subscribe to Will Carroll's newsletter there, and you can hear him every Tuesday here on the Big Show KTGR as well. Thanks for coming on, Will. Hope you're well. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, all boys.
Big Show's on at 442 KTGR and the KTGR app. You hear Will Carroll here, and I guess you'll hear him in another platform very soon, according to his insider info on his own, content arms. I guess he's good.
Yeah, leaking the info. He would know if he's having a podcast, so I think that I can trust that information.
So Under the Knife is where you can go get details on that. And it is like kind of the time to be in the know on some of those injuries, what's going to happen in camp here as everybody reports to camp. And look, teams have an idea of how guys are feeling and things like that, but then you start to really figure out, like, okay, who is responding to their off-season surgeries as well as they are. And we hopefully had good info on it beforehand, but maybe we get the actual info on it here soon.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get eyes on them and see what they're able to do and what they're not able to do, and you can make a plan from there for sure when it comes to just building toward the season. That's what this time of year is all about.
And Cardinals spring training games, you'll be able to hear them on KTGR starting next Saturday. What?
Yeah, I mean, it's coming up quick.
What?
Coming up quick.
Boy, oh boy. Yeah, be ready for that. Be sure to check out all of it on KTGR and be ready for all things Cardinals during the season. Give you a chance to win some tickets and things like that as we go further and further into the year. Onto the Bus is coming up next. The Olympics can bring you something new every single time, and that is no more true than maybe this story right here for a Norwegian biathlete who needed to just shoot one more shot, and not as a biathlete. No, in the love game, he needed to really, really shoot his shot after he really did screw up. That's next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou Athletics announced this afternoon that they will seek a naming rights sponsor for Memorial Stadium. The football stadium at Mizzou is entering its 100th season. Of course, this year, later this fall, they plan to unveil their new North End Zone Concourse, $250 million project still in progress at Memorial Stadium. But Mizzou says they will look for a naming rights sponsor. Eric Morrison, deputy AD, will lead the search. They've also brought in a national firm, and Mizzou Sports Properties will be in on the search as well. Should they find a naming rights sponsor, the plan is to drop the word Memorial from the stadium name. Meanwhile, 2 Mizzou athletes were named to to Conference Weekly honors. In the wrestling world, Cam Steed was named the Big 12 Wrestler of the Week after a pin that he had at West Virginia this past weekend. And Mizzou gymnast Addison Lawrence named the SEC Specialist of the Week for her performance on beam. Tigers took down number 2 Florida last Friday. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast, low temperature 27 tonight, sunny tomorrow with a high of 51.
Ready for all the chili you can handle? The Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off, benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of Columbia, is rolling into the Wyndham Executive Center in Columbia on February 21st. Teams compete with their best bowls of chili, wild costumes, and decked-out booths. Bring your appetite, vote for your favorites, and find out who wins. All in support of Mid-Missouri kids. Don't miss the Rootin' Tootin' Chili Cook-Off, Saturday, February 21st. Grab your tickets now at ktgr.com or the KTGR app.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Advanced Tree Solutions. Wintertime is when your trees are barren, obviously. No leaves yet. We'll get to that very soon, but you still need to be aware of how your trees are growing during this time, especially if they're hanging over those power lines, right? That can be dangerous. And so now that there aren't leaves on the branches yet, now's a good time to get tree pruning done so that they can be safe once we see that growth back. Eric and his team at Advanced Tree Solutions, they are excellent to work with. They've come to my yard before, taken a tree out that was dead. They're honest, upfront, and trained, and they know exactly how to take care of your trees. Because, look, the power company's not going to know how to do it. Most lawn services, they don't know how to really take care of them. Eric and his team does. Go to advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. You can contact them to book for tree pruning and also look at the other services they have so that you can get ready for springtime at advancedtreesolutionsllc.com. Give your trees the care they deserve with Advanced Tree Solutions. Hi, we're Midway Electric. Late winter is the smart time to take a look at your electrical system before spring projects and new power demands put extra strain on it. If your panel is outdated, breakers trip often, or you're planning major upgrades, now is the time to make sure your system is ready. From panel upgrades and repairs to efficient lighting and future-ready electrical solutions, Midway Electric helps keep homes and businesses safe, reliable, and prepared for what's next. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
Hey, y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. What happens when two pharmacists, a restaurant dude, and a math whiz walk into a bar? They buy it, and those four awesome people are the new owners of Billiards. Like a good Oscar speech, we don't have enough time to thank everybody. But if you've been part of our journey, we just want to say thanks for boogieing on down.
Boogie on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway. Yeah.
Les, honey, I'm coming home.
You're a merchant of all things that are man. Firearms, fishing, cars, food, sports. Yeah, the kind of stuff every man always needs more of. So show it off at the Mecca of Man, the 2026 Como Man Show, Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Event Center where the Boone County Fair is held. It's the best and most fun way to show every man they need what you got. Seriously, by showing them. Bring your best stuff, show it off, and have a blast. For more info on being a vendor at the Man Show, go to ComoManShow.com.
Michael Agnew here with API Project Fitness. I understand that life is hard, and if you're soft, it will squish you. You must find a way to be hard. Armor yourself up mentally and physically and emotionally. Our goal is to help you find your inner strength and hardness. The difference between strength and weakness is choice. With our group fitness classes and personal training and open gym, the choice is yours. Choose strength. Find us at APIProjectFitness.com or call us at 573-268-6944 to make an appointment.
Honey, he says we're in legal trouble and we're going to lose our retirement. We have to get to a crypto ATM now.
This can't be right. It's not right. I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. We've received reports of devastating new scams involving crypto ATMs.
Let's report this.
We're here to help. Report suspected fraud at 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
It's been a pretty entertaining Olympics so far over in Italy. Congrats to U.S. mixed doubles curling, silver medal. I thought they would get the gold
big
today.
time right there.
It is. Don't try and ruin my fun.
I didn't.
Don't try and do it.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for them.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Biathlon is also a very entertaining sport. This is like the cross
skiing or skating.
They're cross country skiing.
Cross country skiing in a lap, and then you shoot.
And then
target.
you shoot target. You've got you got a little a 20 gauge or whatever it is. Not a 20 gauge probably, but you got a rifle on your back. You're slinging around.
This?
That
is the most drinking game of a sport anybody's ever.
Hopefully not.
I bet you I could ski in a big circle and hit that target before you can. No, you can't. And that's how it
started.
Yeah.
I mean, probably half of Olympic sports were started that way. But either way, great sport. Watch it and you'll be amazed.
It is fun to watch.
The the bronze medalist in the event today, he's from Norway. And, well, after winning bronze in his post-game interview, he decided to shoot one more shot. Apparently, he had cheated on his girlfriend. And he was using his post-game interviews, multiple of them, to admit that he has felt awful afterwards and make one final plea to try to win her back.
Oh my goodness. That is again, remember what I said about how this sport was born? I don't know if that's always the type of folks that are participatory in this sport, but I have yet to be discouraged by my view of how this all came to be, because that is very much in line with my mental imagery of what's going on. Oh, that's funny. Did it work?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it just happened today. Like, Sturla Holm Lagrid is the man's name.
So give her some time, I guess.
Said, quote, 6 months ago, I met the love of my life, the world's most beautiful, sweetest person. And 3 months ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life and cheated on her. I'm sure
It
many.
took him 3 months to blow it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And so, like, and apparently it wasn't news to her. Apparently he had told her like a week earlier, and like the whole week just felt like hell for him. And he said that I don't care about this. I don't care about sport anymore. I feel terrible. So I'm just going to lay it all out there. And he said, like, hopefully me committing social suicide is enough for her to realize how much she means to. Oh boy.
What a chump. That is so
man.
funny. That is brilliant. Oh my goodness.
It's just,
I can't. That's a new one, my friend.
That's an all-timer.
That is an all-timer right there.
All-timer. And what's even worse, I mean, he had his teammate also from Norway won gold, and so he's trying to bask in the fact that he won gold, and then all people are talking about in Norway is this dude who cheated on his wife, and now he's trying to win her back.
No, wait a minute. Not married, just a girlfriend.
Oh, right,
right?
Girlfriend. Yes, not cheated on wife.
He met her
cheated
6 months ago. I mean, this is straight out of a sitcom. Oh man, this is like a Larry David universe type of vibe to this. You've known this girl for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Maybe you really do love her. If so, you probably don't cheat on her after 3 months.
Yeah. Wild, I know, but
that is insane. That is the best Olympic story. Nothing will top that. That is awesome. Doofus.
It's not that. That's not sweet.
No.
We followed up with something different than actually is sweet. Oh man. Hey, how about this? Mizzou's got some awesome athletes. And this past weekend really showed out in the wrestling world and the gymnastics world. Cam Steed pinned his opponent in like under 30 seconds in a big match for Mizzou at West Virginia. And it wasn't even, this was a top 15 ranked guy, and he pins him in like 23 seconds. That's pretty impressive. Cam Steed, your Big 12 wrestler of the week because of that. And then,
I should say so.
Yeah. And then Addison Lawrence, SEC specialist of the week, for her performance on Beam, as the Tigers took down number 2 Florida this past Friday for their highest ranked win ever. So that's awesome. Mizzou had a lockdown on SEC Specialist of the Week with Helen Hu every week last year, and they still have it.
That was the same award that we talked about almost every week, and then she, of course, was Specialist of the Year.
Yep.
No surprise there. So maybe we can get another run like that going. That would be just fine if Mizzou Gymnastics keeps it up to that degree, because last year was sure a lot of fun, and things are going pretty well this year too.
Yeah, SEC Specialist of the Week, Addison Lawrence. Good to see that on the Mizzou front. And again, Cam Steed, Big 12 Wrestler of the Week. We're going to talk to Brian Smith about him coming up at 5:45, so don't miss that. 573-875-KTGR if you want to call or text us here to get your thoughts in before we talk some more Chiefs coming up at 5:05. Do want to get to some texts here. As James said, suggestions for the stadium. Break time stadium.
There you go.
Could be Burger King Stadium. Really? What are we doing?
I don't know. I don't know. I it's hard to guess because it could be anything.
Really could.
I don't know how big to think or how small to think in terms of regionally, locally, but there's some big time companies that could step in and I think be considered for this. And of course, it's all about the money and revenue for Mizzou Athletics. That's the goal. So I'm sure they'll make sure that goal is achieved in whichever direction they end up going.
I mean, Steve's Pest Control Stadium could be. I don't know. I mean, there's other opportunities there. Who knows?
You could call it. I was trying to think of if you go that direction and come up with like a nickname for.
It really could be the Bug Bowl. The Bug Bowl ads that you hear.
The Bug Bowl. Yeah, you could go that route.
Very well could. Put it in real life. So just throw
come
it
up with
there.
something.
Never know. 875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text if you want to give us some suggestions for what Mizzou's football stadium should be named as they're searching for a naming rights sponsor. You can also give us the snarky ones too, the wrong answers.
We like those as well.
You can make your imagination run wild with that. Also, we'll talk about the Chiefs and an important offseason for them. Big questions. What do you do at number 9 in the draft? What do you do with Trent McDuffie? Do you trade him? Is Kelsey coming back? Lots of questions to be answered. We'll talk about it at 5:05. And what should happen to Alabama basketball now that Charles Bediako can't play anymore? That's next.
What's new in the candy kitchen? Valentine's Day can be a lot like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It can be too hard on the bank account, too soft on the romance, or it could be just right. This Valentine's Day, if you want to do it just right, stop by the Candy Factory and get a delicious box of chocolate-covered strawberries. We cover each strawberry in our decadent milk, dark, and white chocolates to tantalize the taste buds. The Candy Factory takes pride in being Columbia's Valentine's Day tradition. Chocolate-covered strawberries from the Candy Factory at the corner of 7th and Cherry Streets in downtown Columbia. We're just right.
At Target, we're unlocking all the feels this Valentine's Day. It's the perfect time to spread extra love and spoil everyone on your list with unforgettable gifts. First, give a cuddle-worthy surprise with the cutest plush toys, or get party ready and treat yourself to stylish women's dresses you'll heart. Both 20% off. Then dive into the ultimate cozy celebration with your faves with 30% off select women's pajamas. There's something sweet for all your special someones, even you. Find Valentine's Day gifts for everyone at Target.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Tyler, and I've been a marketing consultant with Zimmer Communications. I joined Zimmer because my background was in helping local businesses grow in their marketing. It's cool working here because I get to work with people that I can actually call my friends, and it's a really encouraging environment. I think the energy is good because we enjoy working together. Everybody on the team brings something unique to the table so that we're building on each other's strengths. It's a great place to be because they give you all the tools you need to be successful.
If you're up for the challenge, apply now at ZimmerCommunications.com.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR
is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. A lot of star power missing for the Lakers tonight against the Spurs. LA ruled out LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and Marcus Smart in the second half of a back-to-back. It'll be the 18th missed game for LeBron, which prevents him from reaching the 65-game threshold to be eligible for season awards. His all-NBA streak will end at 21 seasons. Celtics forward Jason Tatum, after his first 5-on-5 scrimmage with players since tearing his Achilles last May, said he was feeling pretty good, but cautioned the latest step in his recovery does not mean his return is imminent. ESPN NBA analyst Janae Agwumake.
For Jason Tatum, I do believe that mental part is the hardest part because it's something where your body is fine, but your mind is the one that's going to provide those questions for you. There's a bad pass. You have to jump. You're like, ooh, am I good? Yeah. But the play action is still happening. But still, the timeline for him is very advantageous. I just feel like the Celtics have already done their job for this season. There's no pressure for him to return.
The U.S. women's Olympic hockey team rolled by Canada 5-0 in the preliminary round finale. Team USA finished first in Group A.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 8 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
From Faro. 15 to the 10, to the house. Bush. Back to the wall, and it's got her. And Arrowhead. Touchdown! Kansas City! To your speakers. This is the big show, baby. Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is the Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
So we'll get some Chiefs off-season questions answered here now that it is officially the off-season for everybody in the NFL. Call or text us with whether you think they need to trade away Trent McDuffie, who they should take it number 9 overall. Kelsey comes back. What does that mean? 875-5847. Also tell us this whole Charles Bediako situation. I mean, it looks like he can't play anymore. That's what the judge ruled. And so with him gone, what does that mean for Alabama, and what do you do with the 5 games that he actually played? We'll talk about that at 5:25. Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling will talk about a big come-from-behind win for Mizzou at West Virginia last weekend. He'll join us at 5:45 to discuss it. 875-5847 to join the show here. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
A move announced today by Mizzou Athletics is one that I think was a long time coming and makes a lot of sense for where the current state of college athletics is. Basically, they'll be pursuing a naming rights sponsor for Memorial Stadium, and when they find one, they'll drop the memorial from the name of the Tigers football stadium. Look, this is to gain, obviously, access to additional revenue, given that cash is king right now. You got to pay the players. You got to pay for that end zone project, too. There's a lot of reasons that you'd be trying to increase revenues if you are Mizzou, and so that's what they'll do. I know some people might be disappointed and say, well, what does that mean for the notion of the memorial and Memorial Stadium being dropped off? I believe Mizzou Athletics is going to make sure to pay homage to those folks that stood for that name in the first place from World War I. I think they'll do a nice job with it, but this is a move that I think they needed.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
A move that I don't know if anybody needed, but the Cardinals decided to go ahead and do it. They traded Andre Granillo today, and they traded him to the Nationals for right-hand reliever George Soriano. He's the cousin of former outfielder Alfonso Soriano. But that's not what's most interesting about this deal. This is going to be Soriano's 15th of the offseason. Yeah, he's been DFA'd and claimed on waivers a bunch of times. The Cardinals just traded away a decent reliever for him. Not sure I understand that deal on the surface, but we're going to let Heim cook and see what he comes up with. That was a head-scratcher from today.
Number 3.
There's Jordan for 3. Yes!
Love seeing Mizzou athletes be successful, and there's a couple of them to highlight this week. The conference weekly athlete, Big 12 wrestler of the week was Cam Steed after his big-time pin pretty quick in the West Virginia matchup, and we'll talk with Brian Smith more about that at 5:45. Gymnast Addison Lawrence, SEC Specialist of the Week, as the Tigers knocked off number 2 Florida last week. Is she taking in Helen Hu's footsteps? Maybe this will be a weekly feature for Addison Lawrence this season.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Yeah, Charles Bediako can't play anymore. Common sense wins out. That's what NCAA President Charlie Baker had to say about it. Yeah, an Alabama judge denied the injunction, so the national nightmare is over. What does it mean, though, for the games that Alabama played with him on the team? That's going to be a difficult one to unpack.
Number 5.
What is the 5 fingers? Say to the face, slap!
Well, Mets camp is off with a bang. Francisco Lindor has a stress reaction in his hamate bone on his hand. If he needs surgery, he'll miss 6 weeks. It seems like every year with the Mets, they're going to find a way to Met.
That's the Big Show's Top 5 at 5. on KTGR.
Call or text us here at 875-KTGR. That's obviously exactly what Mets fans needed, right? Francisco Lindor dealing with an injury. And maybe he's fine from. Maybe he still plays opening day, but don't tell that to Mets fans.
Well, anytime you've got a star player and you're worried about injury on the very first day of camp, it doesn't almost matter what the injury is. You're going to have some concerns. So I think it's fair. And, we'll see if it's something that is resolved via procedure or if he's able to kind of rest and recuperate and hope it heals up. But as Will Carroll mentioned, that's not maybe a bone that you often can expect to heal up appropriately. And so maybe an intervention is what they're going to need.
It's very interesting. You did mention that Cardinals trade too, which is very interesting. I liked Andre Granillo. Why go ahead and get rid of him?
He had a stretch, if you go back to his game logs last year in August, where he gave up at least one run in 6 of 7 in a row of his appearances. This guy, though, that they picked up from the Nationals had an 8 ERA last year in the big leagues. And like I said, he started out with the Marlins and was picked up early November on waivers by Baltimore. And then a couple months later, January 5th, DFA'd again. The Braves pick him up. A few weeks later, DFA'd again. The Nationals pick him up. It's possible that the Cardinals wanted this guy the whole time, but all those teams had worse records. So when you go through the waiver order, the Cardinals just never got to him. That's not confirmed, but just speculative. Like maybe they were looking and saying, we wanted this guy all along, and rather than wait around and wait our turn while he's DFA'd, let's just trade for him. And maybe they were going to DFA Granillo anyway, so they just said, let's trade him. I don't know. I thought Granillo had a little bit of something that he showed last year, but maybe, as long as they're being decisive with this new front office, Andy, I can't really complain. I think that's a decisive action by Chaim Bloom, but it's one that I think surprised a lot of people today.
Because, if George Soriano is part of your team and he's part of your bullpen, then you can't, option him, right?
That's the other thing. He's got no options remaining, whereas Granillo had two. So you could have Memphis shuttled Andre Granillo this year and the next year, but they maybe just don't think he's got it. And I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if this Soriano guy's got it either. 8.5 ERA last year. But
I'm going to guess no.
We'll see. It doesn't look like it, right. But he had good AAA numbers, and so maybe they can fix him. It's just he got passed around to a bunch of different teams, and none of those teams had to pay anything to get him, whereas the Cardinals give up a guy that actually pitched on their big league bullpen last year. So kind of weird.
Very, very odd. But, hey, that's what we dissect during spring training, all the moves that could be happening here soon. We'll see if the Cardinals make any more. 875-5847. Call or text us here. Chiefs do need to make some moves. I think this offseason, whenever you flop like this, you have seen the Chiefs front office, and in past years, flopping has meant, we only lost the AFC Championship game or something like that. This year, it was an actual flop. So if they were aggressive in the years where they didn't quite make the Super Bowl or didn't quite win the Super Bowl, then I would imagine that this year they're going to be raring to go with a lot of moves. I would think. Or should I think that way? Am I wrong to think that way? It should be that.
It should be that. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be that, but I think it's a possibility that it will end up being that way. I want to see it from Brett Veach. I want to see the adjustments made to the roster building and the idea that, it's not just bad luck. You could, if you were trying to spin the PR, say, well, Mahomes got hurt, what can we do? No, season was long since over. You had a lot of issues last year.
Yeah.
And we talked about yesterday, having the quarterback is great. We saw in the Super Bowl what having that defense can do for you, what having the offensive line in order can do for you. You got to have a complete team to win nowadays in the NFL. And the Chiefs have the quarterback and not a lot else, to be totally honest with what we saw from them this year. I don't have a lot of confidence in the rest of the roster right now.
Well, they did run the injury disluck or misfortune was the offensive line piece of it. And that in turn affected Mahomes. And then what ended it all was him getting hurt. But you're right. It wasn't the fact that he was hurt and dealing with an injury this year. It was the fact that he didn't get the chance to operate. And when he did operate, it didn't necessarily look all that great either. So that at least, you're keeping that constant, but what you can change is try to get more depth at that spot to be protecting Mahomes as much as possible. And maybe they just double down on it. Like say that we are not, even if we get down to our third string, we're going to make sure our third string is serviceable at the very least. And so like that could be a way they go. I don't see a realm in which they can operate this. First of all, two things. Like, I get it. Kelsey might come back, but when you're under 50, when you're over the cap by 50 million already, and you're thinking about Kelsey still taking up a slice of that, like 12 million or whatever it's going to be for him. Like, are we really maximizing our roster here by keeping that? Like, at some point I do, like, Kelsey might want to come back, but is this the year where the Chiefs just have to say no? Like, I think they might have to, Brendan. It's going to be tough.
He's got to take more of a team-friendly deal. I don't think he can just, he's not in his prime. He's not the focal point of the offense anymore. It's interesting. Like, let's say he's back. Forget the cap part of it because I never care about that. I know that it's real, but they'll find a way around it. They'll do what they have to do. They might be trading other players, as you mentioned. With the offense, if Kelsey is in an ancillary role and the money works out, do they have enough if it's, Rashee Rice, assuming he's playing? It's always a standing question with him because of off-field concerns.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
And they get a running back, whether it's signing one or drafting one. Do you think they have enough in the skill position department to not have us going, oh, they got to go get a new tight end, or they got to go get a number one wide receiver? Like, I think they've got skill there to where you got to build the rest of this team. I'm fantasy football guy. I want to see great skill players attached to Patrick Mahomes. But I think you get a running back at fair market value of however that looks, and you call it good and look at the other areas that you need to improve.
Free agency, you look at running back, I think, without a doubt. I probably wouldn't look at free agency for the other areas like tight end or wide receiver. I mean, if there's a deal you can't pass up, then maybe you do it to
but you're
fill
not
out the
spending
depth.
much on that.
Like, we're talking like maybe a Juju replacement if you bring somebody in to
bring
fill
him back
that role, or bring him back. Yeah,
but I
if
agree
you
with
like
you.
him better.
That's the caliber of wide receiver. Like, I'm not. But even in the draft, am I spending a premium pick on that when I kind of have to just say, I hope I'm right about the ones that I drafted previously. I hope I'm right about Xavier Worthy. I hope I'm right about Rashee Rice. And I hope I'm right about even a Jalen Royals who didn't really play last year. But
yeah,
do they have the luxury? In some years when the roster is looking really stout, it's like a luxury to add a weapon for Patrick Mahomes. I don't think they have that luxury this time, Andy, in free agency or the draft, other than running back, because they neglected it for so long. You just have to.
For what it's worth, we didn't necessarily touch on it much because not a whole lot was reported on it. Although regarding Rashee Rice, the Instagram post that suggested what happened to it was taken down by the person accusing it. So for whatever that's worth, I don't know. Like, again, not saying that nothing wrong happened there. It does seem that it's probably not going to stick to him. And so
not going to stick. It doesn't ever seem to stick.
Yeah. Like, boy, oh boy. Not saying it's not a headache, and I'm sure it is in the Chiefs building, but like, probably still going to be played.
Probably of his own making. Again, we don't know the veracity of any of that, but like, there are people out there in the world going about their lives who don't get Instagrammed about in that way.
Right.
They just do their work throughout the NFL, throughout MLB, throughout the corporate world. There are folks who just aren't constantly tangled in one or the other type of thing.
Right.
Rashee Rice is not one of those such people. He's always involved in something to where, like, if it keeps stacking up, you go, maybe it's not just bad luck. Maybe you're not just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And the Chiefs have got to be thinking about that too, to the point of like when that came out and we knew maybe it wouldn't turn into anything in terms of like a suspension. You even floated the idea, is that a guy you trade to try to capitalize on whatever value there still is before the whole thing goes off the rails, which it may be prone to doing?
I mean, possibly. The reason why you don't is because he doesn't, at least not yet, he doesn't cost you a whole lot of money. So that's why you don't trade him.
Right.
Here's somebody that will cost you a whole lot of money next year that you probably should trade, Trent McDuffie.
Yep.
Like that, I think that needs to happen this year, this offseason.
What is the contract on Jalen Watson, though? Is he around for a little bit longer?
Jalen Watson. See a free agent? Don't see him on the list here for the Chiefs, but like this was the fit. I believe he is somebody that the Chiefs would have to re-sign in order to bring him back. Trent McDuffie is entering his 5th year option, which is $13.6 million automatically. And honestly should be more based on the fact that he was an all-pro, but not a Pro Bowler, but
don't care about that.
The 5th year option, like he should be earning like $7.5 million more because of like how he's played. But
but Watson is a free agent. If you're trading McDuffie, are you drafting heavily to that defensive backfield? Are you signing somebody else?
Well,
for less, like you're gonna get a good pick for McDuffie if you move him. But.
So here's. I don't know if I draft high for that because they still do like Noel Williams. They can still put him in that spot. I do think keeping Watson around would be important. We'll see what kind of price point they get for that. But here's the thing, like stock up on it. You can stock up on the picks. Obviously the secondary won't be as big of a problem if you can get a pass rush.
You want the pass rush.
That can be all over opposing QBs, and then it won't matter as much how your secondary holds up. Chiefs have had an awesome secondary, I think, over the last few years, and that's been part of why their defense has been so great, because the pass rush was also up to like top 10 in the league and was doing their job too. This year they were not a top 10 in the league. They were way down near the bottom this year, and even though it was mostly the same personnel in the secondary, you saw the results that they just weren't able to get off the field on 3rd down nearly as much. And so like that whole experiment just didn't work because they weren't able to get the pressure up front. So look, that's the name of the game. They did this with L'Jarius Sneed not too long ago. L'Jarius Sneed, great corner, and you'd love to have him in your defense. And kind of the same deal. Like you drafted him with a premium pick. He did really well for you right to start out and gave you 4 years of cost-controlled, really solid secondary play. And you've got to, I think, move on now and cash in on that.
Yeah, I would agree with building from the front toward the back in terms of the defense. And if the most tradable asset that you can get something for happens to be a corner, then maybe that's the way that the Chiefs have to go about it. And I didn't feel as much with the Sneed move. Like it was like, I didn't think they were going to have him around long-term anyway. And maybe like the money's not there to do it with McDuffie either, but I think McDuffie's more productive now than Sneed was then. And like projecting too.
I agree.
Like it felt like Sneed, you were trading him at the best he was going to be in. And it kind of was. He's been, I guess, okay with the Titans, but it wasn't the same level of impact. I feel like with McDuffie, he's got some good years left in him, but maybe that's a sign that you're going to get a really good pick back if you do it. And I would be for that. I don't know, what would it take, I guess, in your mind to do it? Because I think Sneed, did they get like a 3rd round pick?
I think so. Yeah.
What would it take? A late first for you to do it with McDuffie, or what's
he might be worth that?
Yeah, well, if he is, I think that's really what you're probably trading him to another contender if it's a late first pick that you're getting.
Well, what will dampen it a little bit is that you need to extend him. Like he's making $13.6 million this year, but that's the only year he's down for. And so whoever's trading for him probably needs to lock him up long-term like the Titans did with Sneed. And so you're looking for a team that's willing to do that. But I don't know. That and also the part with Sneed was that he was franchise tagged, and so that may be a little bit different deal. But this is kind of
there was some leverage issues there that they looked to exploit compared to this situation. I think it's a favorable situation for the Chiefs to move him. Don't know if you get a first early. You try to get a first, but it's a question of whether or not you just got to make sure the juice is worth the squeeze because he is a really valuable player to you on the field. And I don't think the Chiefs are in. I know there's going to be this narrative surrounding them of like retool kind of season. I don't think you can take a year and say it's okay if we're not contending this year.
Oh, no.
While Patrick Mahomes is in his prime. Even coming off the injury, Mahomes is going to be Mahomesian, and I think you have to put your best foot forward to not say it's like a retool year. You've got to be trying to reload this roster to win right away, and they've got the 9th pick. That's something that they're going to need, Andy, to hit on. You're going to have to pick somebody that's starting for you right away. I don't think there's any question about that. We've talked about the notion of pass rush. Reuben Bain out of Miami would be really interesting. The Karlaftis, that was a pick that was a pretty premium pick that at this point we're kind of underwhelmed by the production. I'm seeing an NFL.com mock draft that has Bain sliding past the Chiefs, getting to the Panthers at 11. McCoy, cornerback out of Tennessee, going to the Bengals at 10. So 2 areas that, we think the Chiefs could need. Jeremiah Love is not the pick in this mock draft. He goes 8th to the Saints. What do you think of this? According to this mock draft, again, everybody and their brother can have a mock draft. If you have internet access, you can do a mock draft. But this one is on NFL.com, so I'll reference it. Caden Proctor going the offensive tackle at 9 out of Alabama.
Yeah, that's...
I mean they could use that too.
So here's the thing. You've got Josh Simmons. Here's the thing. If he's there, like, I would think Caden Proctor probably should be like a top 5 pick or something like that. And
that's what I was thinking too.
The
I was
Chiefs,
surprised to see.
The Chiefs have had a propensity of like, oh shoot, that guy's falling. Oh, let's not let him fall anymore. Like that's kind of what happened with Josh Simmons. Like they knew that Josh Simmons was probably going to be ready for the start of the year, but everyone else seemed to not think that or not believe in him anyway. And he kept on falling and falling. And the Chiefs were like, oh shoot, we can get him at 31.
Either they knew or they didn't care if he wasn't, because they said it's, developmental pick
right
in terms of we signed somebody for the line, and obviously it all went to hell, but his year was like, you're not going to judge a pick on 1 year, especially when there's like personal off the field stuff that he went through. That's very unusual. And it's hard they know in the building, I think, more than we're going to know on the outside about what state Josh Simmons is going to be in coming into the new year. But it's a pretty damn important spot to rest on your laurels if you're not sure about him. And you can always, just get rid of other guys and move him to right tackle and Proctor left tackle. And you've got that ACL intact for Mr. Mahomes moving forward. Like I wouldn't say no if Proctor was there. I agree with you. I thought just in his name recognition that he would be maybe somebody that goes a little bit higher. There's a corner out of LSU going in the top 5 in this. David Bailey out of Texas Tech, an edge rusher.
That's another guy.
Second tackle off the board, Miami tackle, Francis Mauigoa. I know I'm saying that wrong. Is listed at number 3. Mekhi Lemon, the first wide receiver to the Browns, at number 6. Like, if Proctor's there, that'd be attractive. I think I'd go Bain, though. I think I would say, unless you think he's not going to be impactful, which I don't know why I would think that. He's a really, really, talented athlete at the position of need. I think that would be a pretty good pick for the Chiefs at 9. And if you trade McDuffie for a late first, early second, you're able to maybe, reinvest that pick in another position of need. If you trust what you have at corner behind McDuffie, maybe you bring back Watson to kind of bridge the gap on a shorter term contract. I like the idea of getting a pass rush. You've talked me into that in recent weeks.
I'm trying to think, what did the Sauce Gardner trade go for? Wasn't that multiple?
Oh,
first.
He was, yeah. Yeah, but so, didn't he have multiple years of team control? This was in November, so just this past season.
2 first round
the Jets
picks.
Got the Colts 26 and 27 first. And you knew the 26 pick would be a little bit later. Now, it works out for the Jets that the Colts kind of faded at the end without Daniel Jones. They also got A.D. Mitchell, the wide receiver, in that trade.
Yeah.
So 2 firsts and like a upside receiver who, is now one of their, I wouldn't say their main guys. Garrett Wilson's their number 1, but A.D. Mitchell could be playing next year for the Jets for sure. Him and Brady Cook hooked up a little bit when Brady was starting. I think Sauce Gardner, though, contractually had already signed, or no, he signed he signed with the Jets and then they traded him. So he's got
a big
contract,
deal already. And so
that summer, I think he signed. Yeah.
But again,
so that's why it's a little bit different, but maybe not that different.
But I mean, that's another 2-time
has to do
All-Pro, just like Trent McDuffie is. And so, like, I mean, and Trent McDuffie, you still can create the contract with him with however it's going to look. You've got 1 year left as more of a bridge to that. What to expect with how that deal went down, right?
I would say a first-round pick is extremely, like, if it's not that, I probably am looking for a different route to fix my cap and do different things. I would probably just keep him if I'm not getting a first.
Well, we'll see what the Chiefs do. Very important offseason. Tell us what you think has to happen for the Chiefs in 2026. 875-KTGR. Call or text us so we continue to answer those questions. We'll also talk about what needs to happen to Alabama basketball now that Charles Bediako is no longer eligible to play for them. That's next.
The Big Show with Andy and Brendan continues next on your total sports station, KTGR.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Winter is in full swing, and Aleve is here to keep you moving. When the cold weather sets in, everyday aches and pains can linger, but Aleve's got your back. With up to 12 hours of body pain relief per dose, Aleve keeps you going with long-lasting body pain relief to get you through whatever the season brings. Chilly days or cozy nights, Aleve gives you that long-lasting body pain relief you can count on this winter. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
Step into a real-life snow globe with Zimmer Communications and Colette Travel on this 9-day European vacation. Stroll Prague, Dresden, Vienna, and Budapest. From castles and cathedrals to twinkling market stalls. Sip warm Glühwein, shop handcrafted gifts, and even visit a family-run candy workshop. Learn more by joining us in Colette Travel Tuesday, March 17th at 5:30. At Courtyard Marriott Columbia on Lamone Industrial Boulevard. RSVP today at ZimmerCommunications.com.
Welcome to every gym in January. Membership prices, crazy high. Crowds, even worse. All just to wait in line for a bench. Or, hear me out, you could build your own home gym from Play It Again Sports. Free weights, dumbbells, plates, treadmills, ellipticals, benches, racks, and more. New and used. At prices that don't feel like a crime. No crowds, no monthly fees, no awkward eye contact with Chad curling on the squat rack. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. PlayItAgainSportsColumbiaMo.com.
Your foresight is so good, you can practically see into the future. But fortune telling isn't the career path you want to take. Instead of predicting people's futures, you can help build them at Fuse 32. Because you recognize things before they can even become problems. You love the thrill of success and getting paid for it. All that's left to do now is look into that crystal ball and see yourself on the sales team at Fuse 32. There's nothing we can't do. Apply now at Fuse32.com.
With Steve, all I have to do is call. I tell him the problem, he takes care of it. That's the way I like it. A good player that can put it in the basket.
This is Coach Norm Stewart, so you should probably listen to what he has to say about Steve's pest control.
Yeah, during my tenure as a coach, I had a lot of ball players that weren't highly recruited, and that's not to take anything away from their talent, because when they got to Missouri, they became the best. They became the best because they worked at it every day. That's what you'll find with Steve. He works at it continuously. That's what Steve does. He's going to give you his best all the time. He'll take care of the bugs, believe me. He does for me in Columbia, and he does for me at the lake.
This is Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problems. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
Jason texts in, says first and a third for Trent McDuffie or a top 16 straight up.
Oh, yeah. You'd take either of those deals, I think.
I mean, Yeah, for sure. If it includes a first-round pick, I think it's enough for you to take it.
Yeah, and anything you can get on top of that, you'd be happy to press for it. But
because again,
first, that's my minimum ask.
Yeah, because he's worth that for sure, and there's precedent for it. If you look across the league with a guy of his caliber, and then it's also like clearing up the space. You free up $13.6 million. Try to get closer to what you can spend in free agency to maybe get a running back and see how it goes, or add to the defense more. Like it's not the only way through the draft that you add to the defense. You can also look in free agency there, so you can get some bargain deals that actually help out your team. And we'll see what the Chiefs do. Joe texted in Mr. Brightside Field.
There you go.
I mean,
seems easy enough.
If the Killers are willing to pay, then shoot, go right ahead. Jeez, why not? I'd be down for that. Tell us your suggestions for the new football stadium name. Mizzou Athletics looking for a naming rights sponsor for Memorial Stadium. They are going to drop Memorial from the name and just have it be sponsor stadium. Burrow Field name's not going away, but yeah, we'll see what they come up with on that. Big news out of Mizzou Athletics today. And in college athletics yesterday, I believe during our show yesterday, the judge did not grant the injunction to Charles Bediako. So the NCAA won, and Charles Bediako cannot play anymore for Alabama.
Yep. We were just lucky enough that he was able to play while they had a game scheduled against Mizzou, but
yeah,
whatever.
Which
I'm glad it's over.
Not a game that Mizzou would have won even if Charles Bediako was out there. I'll say that.
No, you're right about that.
It does bring into question though, like what happens to those games. He played in 5 games. They went 3-2 in those games, including probably most notably a 4-point win against Auburn just this past Saturday.
Yeah, that's
what seems that's what's fishy about this whole thing. The hearing was Friday. They had just had a decision that day.
Right.
Then he wouldn't have played in that game. I'm sure Auburn fans Auburn fans have a case of like, okay, should we get the game back? Like, it's so hard to do. I don't think if they forfeit the game's fine, but I don't think that means anything for the opponents of those games. I don't think they get credited with a win in that sense. It might just be.
Yeah, I was reading this. Jeff Goodman tweeted this about an hour ago, covers college hoops, said that one tournament selection committee member told him, quote, "Our job is to evaluate the team as they are constructed. It's not to question or consider why. There's no difference in how I will evaluate the Bediako situation and an injured player. The only way that'll change is if the SEC or NCAA comes out and says the wins will be vacated." But even then, I think because they didn't go crazy in one direction or the other, it'll kind of all come out in the wash, if I had to guess, for how the committee evaluates them. The Auburn win is certainly one that comes in a pretty positive direction. But it's not like they went 5-0. It's not like they went 0-5. I think that, 3-2 in the SEC is about par for the course. That's a pace that would get you, about on that line of getting a double bye. And that's probably about where Alabama was going to be either way. So I don't think it's going to come into that much play. And they'll be asked about it and they'll give an answer. But really behind closed doors, they can mostly just say, whatever, we'll tell them that we dropped them a seed line or we'll tell them that we didn't. But I just don't think it's really going to come into play very much, because I think Alabama's a soundly a tournament team, and their seeding they may move a seed line because of this.
Sure.
But I don't even think they probably will.
Well, the NCAA tournament stuff, I don't even much think about that.
Okay.
Are we sure Alabama's going to be a double bye team? Because if it started today, I don't think they are.
We're not sure of anything in this conference. I mean,
No.
You can't know with certainty, but I don't think the wins are going to be vacated, if that's your question.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if nothing happens,
yeah,
and they go back and they finish 4th, then how up in arms your team's going to be about that, essentially.
Maybe. I mean, if you're Auburn, especially, if they leap you in the conference standings, which is the case right now, Alabama's 6-4, Auburn's 5-5. If you flip that result, they've got opposite records, and Auburn's, knocking on the door of a double bye. They've got a case, but I just, it is what it is. Like, I would love nothing more than to see the Alabama punished for this, because it was a sham process, in my opinion. But also, they could just lean back on and saying, look, if we didn't play him, like, we're defying the law and the orders of the court. And like, that's not true. Nate Oates could have stepped in and said, we're going to wait. Let's wait until we get this temporary restraining order lifted and we find out whether or not this is going to be a long-term thing. He could have done that.
Yep.
But he didn't, because he's Nate Oates. So let's put it this way. I hope they're punished in some form or fashion. I don't think they will be. And I'm not going to be like too upset if it just kind of goes away. I'm just glad he's not still playing. It was goofy that he was in the first place.
And there's no easy way to do it. That's for sure. Like, you can't, because the teams can't be credited with a win. I think that's a little too far.
No, you can't. The teams that lost the games. Yeah.
Auburn has a case that they could have won the game, obviously, but Mizzou doesn't. But that being said, like, there can't be no penalty, because that's not, even if Alabama had won the game against Mizzou anyway, like, that's not the point. There's still a rule that Missouri followed, but Alabama at the time wasn't. And so, like, there's something does have to happen in the ideal perfect world, but it's hard to get there based on everything that's already transpired. Like, he's already played in games and Alabama's done this and that. So,
yeah. And because they didn't perform, demonstrably different with him than without him, they were 3-2 with him, and they were 3-2 in conference play without him.
Yeah.
Now, would they have been 2-3 in a tougher stretch of their schedule if he hadn't been playing in that Auburn game? You could make that case, but it's just one of those things that they're probably going to get away with. People get away with all sorts of stuff nowadays, and that's probably going to be one of those things that you throw your hands up and say, yeah, because they kind of just kept being the similar statured team that they had been. I don't know that there's anything major that is going to come of this. It's not fair, but I don't have high hopes that there's anything substantial that's going to be considered. Like, you could say, all right, you have to just not include those games in your evaluation of Alabama, and whether that changes their seeding or not, whatever. But if you're going to make that case, and it's like, okay, how about Missouri? Because the team they were in December is certainly not the team they are now. So can you just throw out the games that we had injured players and that doesn't count? Like, it's kind of a fine line.
That is interesting. I mean, because you really only flip one result. We were talking about this earlier, like with Mizzou's injury misfortune that statistically has been outweighing them compared to other teams this year. Right. But maybe only means that they get one more win at Notre Dame if, in fact, they have the guys healthy that they do now. But yeah, the difference though is that it's not just the Auburn game. Alabama also beat A&M by 3, and so like their win, that Mizzou's the only win during this Bediako stretch that I think you can soundly say was theirs, without a doubt. But they played much, or at least to this point, better teams. A&M and Auburn. If you wonder about what the margins would have been, minus Bediako, I at least think about it if I'm a committee member. Like, I do factor that in and say, okay, this team you have right now probably doesn't beat A&M that day, probably doesn't beat Auburn that day.
I hope somebody brings it up in there.
Yeah, I sure do. And look, Alabama's not would you consider them like a 5 or a 6 seed right now? I think at this point,
probably in that range.
I think that's what Lenardi had them as. By the way, Mizzou first team or second team out according to Lenardi, so they moved up a little bit.
Hey, if you beat A&M, it completely changes the season. We'll talk more about that tomorrow, but that's good. I'm glad that we're kind of getting in that conversation, because this week you win 2 games this week, and there's no taking Mizzou out of the conversation. I mean, they'd have to just lose the rest of their games to not be given that kind of cachet, that bump in terms of the way they'd be talked about. So big week coming up, but we knew that.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about how Mizzou might stack up against A&M on the road and see what happens there. 875-KTGR if you want to call or text us to talk about the Charles Bediako situation and what needs to happen. Do they need to vacate the wins, or do they need to make them forfeits? Either way, I hope Nate Oates stayed to his word and said, yes, 100% Charles Bediako is going to stay on scholarship academically.
He's a happy little student for us now.
Hey, I mean, it's unfortunately for Nate Oates, the fact that he said that probably contributed to the fact that they are not letting him play anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, the lawyer's argument was the complete opposite and kind of messed that one up for sure.
Does Bediako get to go back to his G League team now?
Why he wasn't really very good for him. He only was averaging a few points a game. I don't know if they want him back.
I guess that's fair. Why you would have wanted to come back to college to try and dominate.
Big fish in a small pond.
Oh man. Well, look, I wish the guy well. I don't mean to pile on to him.
I don't wish him anything. Good luck in high scores. Like whatever. I just don't care. I'm glad we can stop talking about him.
The coaches are the ones that I hate the most in this situation. The ones that enable these types of kids. They're just taking advantage of a system that is broken. That's all they're doing.
Yeah, I think Nate Oates, I'm not a fan of the way that he handled it.
He can, we know exactly what we think about him here in Mizzou land. So hopefully they've come up with some sort of dinging for Alabama basketball, whether it's indirect or direct. We'll see after Charles Bediako ruled ineligible for the rest of the season. 875-KTGR. Give us a call or a text. We'll talk some Mizzou wrestling next. Big win over West Virginia on the road last weekend. Their head coach, Brian Smith, joins us to talk about it next on The Big Show.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Andy Humphrey. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Go to leestirecompany.com. Mizzou Athletics announced this afternoon that they will seek a naming rights partner for Memorial Stadium as the stadium enters its 100th anniversary. Later this year, of course, they'll be unveiling the newly constructed North End Zone Concourse, $250 million project that's underway and is expected to be completed by the start of this 2026 football season. Deputy AD Eric Morrison leading the search for a new corporate naming rights sponsor, along with Intersect Partners and Mizzou Sports Properties. If they find a partner to take on the naming rights to the stadium, the word Memorial will be dropped from the stadium name, according to Mizzou. Two Mizzou athletes named to weekly awards in their respective conferences. Big 12 Wrestler of the Week is Cam Steed after his 23-second pin at West Virginia last Friday. And also last Friday, Addison Lawrence, a big part of Mizzou Gymnastics' win over number 2 Florida. She was named today the SEC Specialist of the Week on Beam. Now your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Those four awesome people are the new owners of Billiards. Like a good Oscar speech, we don't have enough time to thank everybody. But if you've been part of our journey, we just want to say thanks for boogieing on down.
Boogie on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway. Yeah.
Les, honey, I'm coming home.
Another winter inside, looking at the snow in your yard that you can't write your name in because you didn't order your new deck from Crutch's Custom Exteriors in time. Don't look ahead to spring cleaning. You're ready for spring peeing and April showers with Freedom Stream powers off your new Crutch's deck. They can build your pee platform in the winter so it's ready for you to splash your autograph in any springtime snow that's left. CrutchesCustomExteriors.com. True beauty is on the outside. So, Mr. Fancy Dancy Sports Car Dude, you say you were distracted by a raccoon feasting in the road? Okay. How about the fact that you were going way too fast when there's like 5 inches of snow on the ground? Nice ditch you got there, bro. Now you need a savior, a do-over. Find your phone and just Google I-70 Towing. They're Mid-Missouri's go-to crew for slide-offs. When your winter world seems to have been wrecked, call the team they hope you never have to meet. I-70towing.com. A raccoon. Just ridiculous.
Hi, we're Midway Electric. Late winter is the smart time to take a look at your electrical system before spring projects and new power demands put extra strain on it. If your panel is outdated, breakers trip often, or you're planning major upgrades, now is the time to make sure your system is ready. From panel upgrades and repairs to efficient lighting and future-ready electrical solutions, Midway Electric helps keep homes and businesses safe, reliable, and prepared for what's next. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
Back here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app as we talk some Mizzou wrestling now. And it was a really good win for Tiger Style Wrestling on the road at West Virginia. The Tigers came back to beat the number 16 Mountaineers 26-13 to earn a big Big 12 dual victory and also move on to their senior day, which will be coming up this Thursday at the Hearn Center. And here to talk with us about it, their head coach Brian Smith here on the KTGR hotline. That was a pretty impressive win for you last weekend, Coach, last Friday, going to West Virginia and having to deal with all the factors of traveling and then being able to get on the mat and be able to finish the way that you did, sweeping everything from 165 on. How'd you see your group kind of performing in that sense?
Yeah, our upper weights really stepped it up because we were down at the midway point, and they had won 4 of the first 5 matches. So it's at the point where you can't be losing any more matches, and our guys just, they just stepped up and wrestled really, really well. From Jay Conway, was getting a takedown, and the kid hit his head, but he looked awesome. And then Cam Steed goes out and gets a pin in 23 seconds. It was exciting to just get those first 2 wins like that in bonus point wins. And then when you have Aiden and Evan and Jared at the end, they just stepped it up and wrestled, some tough matches, some ranked matches. 97 was a highly ranked match. Bates coming through. Steed pins the number 13 ranked guy in the country. So that was big. Our upper weights really did a good job. And our lightweights didn't wrestle bad. They just lost tough decisions to highly ranked, the 125. Mac loses a 4-1 match to Strickenberger, who's ranked top 8 in the country. And he had opportunities to win. Same with Gage Walker. Didn't wrestle bad, just, had a takedown at the end of the first period. They waved off and didn't call it, but I still think it was. And it's just one of those tight matches we lost.
It certainly was back and forth, at least for this type of match, but you really get going towards the end with several close decisions, but then you get a few to go your way. How important also was it? Maybe kind of goes under the radar a little bit, but even during that stretch where you lose 4 of the first 5 matches, Seth Mendoza still at 149 gets a pretty important tech fall for you. So even to still be in it in that sense, getting an extra bonus point, how do you kind of see even through some adversity, guys still being able to fight for those extra points?
Yeah, nobody panics at that point. We were losing tough decisions. So the score wasn't out of hand, and we knew we had our big guns coming up. And you just have to stay calm, and everybody's just got to focus on themselves. It is individual, even though it is a team score, and our individuals went out and got the job done after, losing some tough matches. And it was good because I was worried because the day before we flew out, we were delayed, and it was a 13-hour trip. We left it. We had practice at 8 a.m. here and got in at midnight to the hotel. So it just shows you how long of a day we had to travel, and you have to wrestle that next day. So our guys' I never let them make that an excuse, and they didn't. They went out and battled hard and didn't let the travel affect them. It's just part of it. So they did a good job with that.
Brian Smith, Mizzou wrestling coach here on the Big Show, KTGR. And you mentioned Cam Steed's pin with under a half minute. He got to his guy, and it wasn't even that bad of a wrestler either, number 13 in the country, as you mentioned. Cam Steed, in that moment, providing that type of boost, did what for essentially the whole group? Oh,
the whole bench was fired up because we know Cam is dangerous. He had the most pins at the NCAAs last year. He's a dangerous guy, and when we saw him turn the guy over, we knew the kid was in trouble. And he's just a pinner. He knows how to get the job done. You go to your back on Cam, he's going to put you away.
And it certainly was a huge moment. And then that goes into Sinclair, who had a really close decision, but he gets it 2-1. And then you mentioned Bates also in what was a pretty highly ranked matchup between both sides at 197. It just seemed that both of those wrestlers, at that point, it's much more in the balance. Your guys have made up a lot of the difference, and it comes down essentially to those two being on point. Just how much did you see both of them kind of grow in those moments and being able to provide that type of edge for you?
I think if you watch it, they controlled the matches, but I didn't like the way they wrestled in the third period, and either did they. They kind of wrestled too conservative, afraid to make mistakes because the match was close. And I think that sometimes happens in a dual meet because you want to win for your team. So you want to win the match, and you just want to just get through that match and win on points. If they score takedowns, they put those matches away. But instead, they came down to the wire, and they were tight matches. And didn't need to be, and that's something we're working on with mindset. You got to wrestle more relaxed and just open up in those positions and score. Keep scoring points.
For sure. Brian Smith, Mizzou wrestling coach here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. So with what's left, just 2 more duels, home against Oklahoma this week, and then you go to Iowa State to finish out the regular season before the Big 12s. With these 2 opponents coming up, and obviously a bunch of ranked guys I'm sure that you'll see, and you get closer and closer to the postseason, how do you view the sized up competition for what your guys will be facing here in the very near future?
Well, Oklahoma's always a big rival for us. We've been wrestling them forever. And it has a little bit more meaning now. I was teasing Teague, Teague Travis, who just transferred in from Oklahoma State. I said, this is bigger than Bedlam. This is for everything. This is the SEC championship. This just means more. We were joking around about it. And it is. We're the only 2 teams with a wrestling program in the SEC. So it's kind of a quiet championship that we have in between the programs, that whoever wins it that year is the SEC champ. So this is, for us, it's seeding for Big 12. They're ranked in front of us as a team, and we've been wrestling much better as a team. So this brings up some good challenges for us to step out there, and it's our senior day, so it has some meaning to send our seniors off with a win. So it's going to be a good night this Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday at 6:30 as the Tigers wrestle Oklahoma, and it is senior day, and you've got an excellent collection of seniors this year, and even some that but most of them have been with you from the start. A few of them have come just for their final year to really help out your group and continue to grow themselves. This collection, what has it meant to continuing to drive Mizzou wrestling forward this year?
it's just guys that hang around and live it. You know, they're living Tiger style. They're doing it right. They're all graduated, or a lot of them are on their masters. Josh Edmond is finishing up this spring with a master's degree. So it's just, they've just done it right. And we appreciate having them in the program and what they give back to, you know, not just the program, the school, the community. They just do it right.
And certainly going to be looking forward to their last home matches coming up this Thursday at 6:30 as the Tigers take on Oklahoma at the Hearn Center. So go and check that out. Your last chance to see Mizzou wrestling at home this season. And great to catch up with Brian Smith of Mizzou Wrestling here on the Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app. Thanks again, Coach, for taking the time today. Good luck this week, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Thanks, Andy.
It's the Big Show on KTGR and the KTGR app, and you'd have to think that it will be a very lively atmosphere at the Hearn Center as the Tigers wrestle one more time in 25-26 at home. And anytime you can beat Oklahoma, that's a pretty big deal too. So we'll see if the Tigers can do that. And certainly go and check it out if you have the chance to on Thursday night at 6:30. And thanks for joining us today here on The Big Show. Also, a big thanks to Will Carroll for joining us last hour. You can catch both conversations on the KTGR app if you missed them. We'll have Amber and Ian coming up next. And then at 7:15, you can hear coverage of more high school boys basketball. Battle Spartans are hosting the Capital City Cavaliers tonight. We'll start our coverage again at around 7:15. Thanks for joining us today. He's Brendan. I'm Andy. We're done for now.
What's new in the candy kitchen? Valentine's Day is this Saturday. You wait until the last minute to find a gift.